How are buyers winning in the competitive offer situations that we're seeing in the greater Madison area? Well, the Husky Homes team works with many buyers and sellers on a regular basis. So, with that, we're on the forefront of many pricing trends as well as competitive offer writing scenarios. And we have the experience of working on the reviewing offer side and the writing offer side regularly. So, we've seen it all, and we love to share the lessons that we've learned on a daily basis with our buyers and sellers. Many agents in this market just simply give the advice that the best and highest purchase price is what will seal the deal. But that is definitely not the case in this competitive market. An offer way above listing price alone is just an empty offer, unless that is it's a cash offer or offered without an appraisal contingency. The market is volatile right now, with prices continuing to increase due to the very, very low inventory that we're seeing and the ever increasing demand because of the competitive interest rates. So oftentimes with this volatility, there just are simply not enough substantial comparable sales from the past 6 months for an appraiser to look at that substantiates these extremely high prices that we're seeing getting accepted. So again, unless a buyer can offer a full cash deal above asking or offer enough cash to bridge the difference between whatever the appraised price is with the accepted offer price, it is that empty offer scenario, and it really just presents an additional risk for the seller later on in the transaction, which is another headache that you want to avoid as a buyer for the seller. In these competitive offer scenarios, sellers should have their pick of the litter with regards to more preferable terms for inspections too. So in addition to appraisals, we're seeing that buyers are writing in really creative, competitive things into their offers so that the sellers don't feel like there are much additional risk moving down the line if the property were to be inspected, or if there are things found in an inspection that they're not going to be nickel and dimed for little things. Buyers are winning these competitive offer scenarios by offering to take care of defects under a certain amount of money and offering to take care of it themselves after closing without bothering the sellers. We're still seeing most offers being written with an appraisal contingency, an inspection contingency. However, an offer without one, of course, especially in the case of an older house, is definitely risky for buyers, but definitely something that sellers would love to see because it again removes that risk for them and they see it as a more seamless way to transition moving forward. Instead of the seller's preferred terms, we also ask, what are the seller's perfect terms? What is the scenario that would make their transition from house A to house B or location A to location B so seamless and stress-free that those terms alone may make the offer more desirable than perhaps fancy language with inspection contingencies, purchase price, appraisal contingency, etc. Ultimately, it's our job as the buyer's agent and as the buyers to try to understand the seller and put ourselves in their shoes. Where are they moving? Why are they moving? What motivates them to sell their house right now? And how can we help make that as seamless and smooth as possible to give us a leg up when looking at the other offers that they might be competing against ours. A really good example of this is, let's say the sellers have one house to sell and they're going to be moving into their next house that exact same day. So if you think about it, they need to move everything out of their first house into the next house within 24 hours. This is not ideal for any seller, whether they have kids, a job, or not. This is a nightmare to do everything within 24 hours, and it's exhausting. So something that we might recommend our buyers do in this case is that they offer a rent back period to the seller for free to say, hey, we'll close on the date you want so that you can get the funds from your first house and use it for the next closing. But we're going to give you a few more days after closing to stay in the house, get everything out, take your time, clean the house up for us, and then we'll move in next week, perhaps after the weekend when you're ready. Those little details can make all the difference to sellers when they're trying to make sure that they're making the best decision for themselves and their family logistically as well as financially. Other than that, we really just try to have our buyers think outside of the box and again, put themselves in their seller's shoes. What can they do? Anything that they can do to make themselves more humanized for the sellers and to make their offer stand out above just being a name on a piece of paper and terms that the seller perhaps wants to see. How can they make themselves stand out in a sea of 10 other offers What can they do to showcase their personality, what they're going to do with the house, how they're going to love and care for the house that the sellers have, and how can they identify with the sellers to show them that they're going to be perfect buyers for the house and take care of it for them. These types of things and thinking outside of the box sometimes are just that secret sauce that ends up winning in competitive offer scenarios. And for each individual seller and buyer, it's totally different. And it depends on, again, what those sellers' motivations are and ultimately how far out of the box you can think to get your offer to stand out amongst the rest.